What is going on, my fellow ghosts? It is the Blind Prophet, and today I kind of just wanted to talk about Ghost of Tsushima, the game which has helped build this channel to what it is right now. Since we last saw the game at E3 2018, it hasn't had much information come out other than leaks, but I still wanted to see if we could uncover some things on it, so without further hesitation, let's get right into this one. Ghost of Tsushima is a Sony first-party exclusive, supposedly coming to PS4 from the beautiful developers at Sucker Punch Productions, who have previously brought us hits such as the Infamous franchise, as well as Sly Cooper games. Other than when they've been at events such as E3, Sucker Punch hasn't been very vocal about their anticipated title, and it's left the internet searching for any sort of clues for a release date or any other details about the game. Now, I might be stretching on this, but I think the silence has been intentional due to another highly anticipated game on the rise, Cyberpunk 2077. If we go back to 2018, this is where we get our first look at the new trailer for Cyberpunk, as well as some were able to participate in the behind closed doors demo that we later saw during Gamescom. Shortly after, Sony announced their withdrawal from E3 2019, and, well, it seems they made a good decision. Both Cyberpunk and Keanu Reeves stole the show this year, becoming an internet sensation and meme.
The feeling of being there, of walking the streets of the future, is really going to be breathtaking. You're breathtaking. You're breathtaking.
What would new gameplay, details, or another cinematic trailer for either Ghost of Tsushima or The Last of Us have against Baba Yaga himself? No, Keanu wasn't exactly the boogeyman. He's the one you sent to kill the fucking competition, and that's what he's done. But you might be thinking, well, prophetess, my good man, Sony couldn't have known Cyberpunk was gonna hit hard with the greatest man alive being in their game. Sony wouldn't have anticipated that from the time they first announced their withdrawal. It's purely a coincidence, and I would be inclined to believe that if Sony wasn't at the top of the food chain. Granted, I don't believe they anticipated Keanu exactly, but I believe they wanted Cyberpunk to hit hard, and I see it like the Star Wars dilemma. When Star Wars The Force Awakens was coming out in 2015, another hugely anticipated movie was just on its way, The Hateful Eight, which was due for December 30th. Now, The Force Awakens had been out for almost a week, as it had been released for the general public to see December 18th. However, my man Tarantino had his big Christmas week opening at the Cinerama Dome Theater pushed out by ArcLight and Disney to give The Force Awakens an extended run. After that, not many big movies wanted to release in competition with Star Wars. Not that it stopped some like La La Land from being successful critically, it was just more competitive at the box office. Now, what does this have to do with Ghost of Tsushima? I think Sony was trying to avoid a Cinerama Dome experience by just letting Cyberpunk have its moment and let the release date come out. That way they could plan the release of their hotly anticipated titles, such as The Last of Us and Ghost of Tsushima. Again, this is just a theory, and Sony might not even be that worried about Cyberpunk, as it is just one game. But I personally feel they understand their competition. Even if we look back at 2015, when The Witcher 3 was released, not many huge PS4 exclusives were present, other than Until Dawn and Bloodborne. So again, just a theory. But The Witcher did win Game of the Year that year, so Sony has to have at least a watchful eye on CDPR. Something else interesting is recently IGN put out a poll with fans voting on their most anticipated PS4 exclusives, and The Last of Us Part 2, unsurprisingly, was at the top, with Final Fantasy VII's remake close behind, whereas Ghost of Tsushima barely beat Death Stranding by 1.5% difference. In an article by IGN acknowledging the result of the poll, it's even stated that Ghost of Tsushima has been notably absent since it wowed us at E3 2018, which is interesting that it was still able to win fans' votes over Death Stranding, which has a November 2019 release date and a recent trailer that showed off new gameplay. We just won our feudal Japan samurai game, man. I'd really love to know your thoughts though. I personally hate when games are announced like this, with Ghost of Tsushima being announced back in 2017, and now in 2019 we're in complete darkness with only a polished gameplay demo to go off of. Even if we look back at Cyberpunk 2077, which was announced back in 2013 and is now being released over 7 years later. It just brings us through a roller coaster of emotions, being anticipated and excited, and throughout that time we're waiting, can possibly get our hopes up, and when the actual game comes out, it disappoints us. Apex Legends was very cool in the way that it released with no sort of warning and expectations in place. We just got our hands on the game and played. Now, obviously a free-to-play battle royale game with microtransactions is way different than a story-driven game with a $60 price tag, and marketing has to happen to get us invested. But why so long? And then on top of this, the developers are going through vigorous crunch periods. It done boggles my diddly marbles. I love CDPR's marketing with their slogan, "Release when it's ready." but I also feel that games should be marketed when they're ready as well. But then again, I'm not in the industry to really understand the reasoning behind this, just a consumer that at the end of the day will still be buying the games that interest me and theorizing as to why they're not out yet. Once we actually get solid information on Ghost of Tsushima, such as a release date, gameplay, and or story details, I'll try to update you guys as soon as possible, as I know you have been begging me for more videos on Ghost of Tsushima. Again, Sucker Punch has been very quiet, and I didn't want to make videos without more solid information and details. But again, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you think Cyberpunk has had an effect on Sony's marketing for games like Ghost of Tsushima? Or do you think Sucker Punch is just taking their time crafting this world we have asked so long for? Let's talk about it as I try to respond to every single comment. And as always, stay hydrated, let them pass in peace, and Excelsior.
Wake the fuck up, samurai. We have a city to burn.
So I got to finish this.